Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Stateside Market Report with Bryant and Tim. I am Tim. That is Bryant. Bryant, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm still appreciating your lighting. I think we're gonna talk about this every episode until I get better lighting on my video. I still have a clean shelf, but I don't have the light in the face. And you got like the one in the background that you can do colors.
Yeah, I
I'm
don't
pretty
have it
into
on
that.
right now though.
You should have it on. I don't know why you don't have it on,
Well, let
but I'm
me.
gonna get some one of these days.
You start
So,
talking.
anyways, we talk about
I'll get it
nonsense here,
on.
but we also talk real estate. So, let's talk a little real estate. So, Brian and I both got on this call, and we're a little bit sick of just talking about interest rates and the current state of the market and stuff like that because we're going to do that all the time. So, I think what we're going to do, there you go. I see. I like it. Change the tone, change the hue.
Yeah,
There we go.
there you
I
go.
like it.
Go with that.
Please place comments in this video and let us know how you like Brian's hue. And we'll change it next week accordingly. So what we're going to talk about this week is more specifically in terms of offers that we make for our buyers and how we navigate this difficult, quote unquote, difficult market. Because it is difficult. I don't mean quote unquote. It is difficult. It's very competitive.
Yeah,
Um,
strategic.
so yeah, we're getting multiple offers again. It's not to the level. Well, it is in Northern Virginia to the level that it was last year, where you're getting 18 offers, pre-inspections, all these things. And a lot of this doesn't mean anything to the first-time home buyer or investor from overseas because they don't know what goes into an offer. So I think it would be helpful if we talk about a couple of these contingencies, the typical things that. Let me back up a second. What we do as buyer's agents when we have a buyer under contract that is looking to purchase a property, as a buyer's agent, we like to make the strongest offer possible so that we're chosen and that our client can get the property. But we also like to leave as many exit ramps as possible for them to get off if things don't look right or things don't feel like it's the right fit for them. So it's really an art and it's a balance. And like finding that balance in a competitive market is very, very difficult because we don't have all the power. Like as buyers, we don't have all the power. We don't have all the leverage. So negotiating these transactions is tricky. So I think it could be helpful for people to know some of these contingencies. We don't have to go through all of them, but some of the big ones and kind of how we navigate that for our buyers when we're competing with multiple offers. That was a mouthful.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think the thing is like it could sound scary that we're like, well, we're waiving a contingency. That's scary. Like I don't want to do that. uh and a lot of the times it's not as scary as it sounds, right? We're not gonna have anybody do anything that you're uncomfortable with. Like Tim talked about exit ramps. We're not gonna go into a deal without our foot out the door some way or another. Some kind of a contingency that we can walk away from the deal if we need to for whatever reason. You're not stuck in it. I mean, there are agents, there are people that are out there waiving all contingencies. And right, I mean, there's a time and a place for it. All cash offers, maybe going to tear down the property or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Fine. But for our clients, for our typical client, the FSOs, living overseas, moving to and from, we're not gonna advise that kind of advice. We're not gonna go that route. So
Yeah.
that's all I would have to say about that.
Yeah. So I mean, it's all about providing that level of, I guess, strategic advantage that we can have by, skillfully negotiating the contract and also the comfort level. What's going to allow you to sleep at night? Because, like Brian said, we don't want people going in and just throwing everything out and saying, "Oh, I hope this house works out." Because honestly, a lot of people did that last year and they're not happy with their purchase.
Mm-hmm.
Like they didn't get an inspection, they didn't get an appraisal, or they got an appraisal and it appraised for way under, or an inspection, and they said, I don't need an inspection because I need to get this house, and they find a foundation issue, and that's a $30,000 fix. So like it's not. Sometimes that dream house cannot be the dream house if you don't take the due diligence that you need to make sure it's the right fit for you. So, all that being said, I think one of the biggest things that comes up and one of the biggest things people are hesitant to waive, rightfully so, is the inspection. We are currently in a market where, so the inspection contingency, and we're not going to go into the nitty gritty details because there are a lot of them, is
Mm-hmm.
basically you are allowed to get an inspection on the property. You get a professional inspector to go out there, take a look at the property. They're there for 2 3 hours. Brian and I will walk the house with them. We'll get a report that usually has between 30 and 80 punch list items on it. We'll care about 20% of those. The rest are just kind of
Mm-hmm.
like code things that are typical in every house and we're not really worried about them. But that's part of what we do too, is we'll walk you through on the phone. What does this mean? Should I be worried about this? Because when you get something, a brand new house even, that has like 50 things on it, you're like, what is actually happening? Why did they build it so terribly? And it's not necessarily the case. They just have to report certain things. Some things are a big deal. So we'll help you navigate that. Anyways, with the inspection contingency, you get this report, you review it with Brian or I, we go through what you should be worried about, what you shouldn't be worried about. And there's two different, I guess, options for the inspection report. You can do as is with the right to void only. So basically, we go in there, we get the inspection, and we get it back, and we look at everything. And as a whole, we say, yeah, I'm okay with these things. I can fix these when I move in, no big deal. Let's proceed with the contract. That is more attractive to a seller because you can just basically, it's yes or no, and it's quick. The other option is the right to negotiate. So you can actually put in the contract, we want the right to negotiate for these repairs. In that case, we look at the same inspection report, but we go through it line by line by line. And we put a whole property inspection notice addendum together, and we send it back to the seller, and we say, we would like your seller to fix all of these things prior to settlement, or give us money so that we can do it. And whatever that money can vary, and we won't get into the details there either, but it's usually up to 3% of the purchase price. And then we go back and forth in just a mind-numbing process of negotiating for faucets being fixed and tile being replaced. And we finally get to a consensus and we move forward with the contract. Now, if you go in with no inspection contingency, this is out the window, but you get what you get. You know, like you go in there and you say, okay, I'll take this house as is, but that's also very attractive to a seller. So there's kind of three: no inspection, inspection with the right to void, and inspection with the right to negotiate are kind of the three options.
Yeah.
So, Brian, do you want to go in what makes a stronger offer in terms of when a seller is looking at this?
Well,
I
yeah, and
kind of
I'll add one more option,
yes, please.
which is doing a pre-inspection,
Pre-inspection.
right? So it's doing one of the following that Tim just talked about, besides no inspection. So it's either right to negotiate or right to walk away, but it's so you can do when you put in your offer, you can waive the inspection altogether, but you already had it. So the only disadvantage to that is if you don't get the offer, you don't get your money back for that inspection. You know, I guess even if you're under contract and you do your inspection, you're not going to get that money back either. But you know, you're still going to make the decision if you want the house or not. If you
But
do
yeah, you
like
might have to do a lot of them. So if you do a pre-inspection and you don't get it,
right.
you know, you might have to do that several times before you get one. So yeah,
Right.
that
And
would
we
be
and we just had clients go through that, you know, 2-3 weeks ago. We had them do the pre-inspection the day, actually the morning the offers were due at noon, and we did the pre-inspection in the more early in the morning, right? It was the only option we had.
yeah.
We got in there, they paid $500 to go do this pre-inspection, and after that happened, we decided like, hey, let's go write an offer. We wrote an offer over asking price, all cash, and so we still lost. 4 other people did pre-inspections, and somebody eventually it's sold now. They put $50,000 higher than what we were willing to pay. But well, yeah. So like we go back to the original thought here is what makes it the most competitive. Tim touched on this. Well, I guess most competitive is they're going to do no inspection at all. Maybe after that would be a pre-inspection, so you can waive
Yep.
that on the actual contract. Third would be the contingency to do a home inspection and void only. So you
Right.
cannot ask for any repairs. It's yes or no, you know, black or white. That's it. There's no in between. And then the lastly would be right to negotiate repairs. I will say though, there are strategies within the strategy to make it even more competitive, like the window of time you have to do the home inspection, right?
Mhm.
You know, you put in an offer and you ask for 14 days to complete a home inspection. That's not going to, you know, it sounds great and all. And, you know, 10 years ago that could work. But in today's market, we're doing like 3 to 5 days,
Yeah.
right?
It
We're
has to
like,
be quick.
we'll get someone in there the next day, go do, you know, the home inspection. The people we use, they'll give you a report 15 minutes after we're done.
Yep.
And again, like Tim said, it'll just outline. I mean, we're paying these people to figure out everything wrong with the house. That's what we're paying these people to do, and that's what they're going to do. There's a light switch that doesn't
They're
work.
very thorough.
They
Yep.
are going to tell you, and you know, you know, things start adding up, and it looks scary. But every house has these issues. I'll have we'll have Tim go over some of the big things, some of the big things we look for. Um, but yeah, I kind of lost my train of thought. Where was I going with
Something
that?
about inspections. No, you were going with that. We were talking about what how to make a competitive offer and what we and again, it goes back to personal preference, but like Brian and I are going to be very transparent. And I've had rough conversations with clients where they're like, "Listen, we live in, Senegal and we're not willing to buy a house without seeing it or getting an inspection." And I just have to be very honest and be like, "I don't think you're getting a house this month." Because we are at the point where, and this is week to week, it honestly is, it's
It's
city to
week to
city, it's
week.
week to
Yeah.
week, it has to do with inventory, there's so many things at play. But like luckily we are interacting with people and we're seeing the market every day and we know what works and what doesn't, and we're not going to waste your time and put in an offer with a full inspection contingency if it's not, it literally won't be considered. Now legally that seller has to take that offer, show it to the client's going to see inspection contingency 7 days, they're going to move it over and they're going to look at the next offer, period. So it's, and this is obviously, it's not just one-on-one, but there's the appraisal contingency, there's financing contingency, there's all these other things that we're not going to have time to get into, but we'll do separate episodes on. But we're not going to waste people's time. You know what I mean? And I think that's what people choose us for. We're not going to tell you what you want to hear. We're going to tell you what you need to hear to get a house. And sometimes you can, like I'm in the middle, I'm under contract on 2 properties right now. We got inspection with right to negotiate on both. I haven't been
Wow.
able to do that in 6 to 8 months. And this is in Maryland, one in PG County. Oh no, I'm sorry, one in DC and one in PG County. Right to negotiate on both. And it's a process, but it's awesome for the buyers because they're like, oh, the hot water heater is 18 years old. Go ahead and replace that. I ask for everything. Like if we get the right to negotiate, I'm negotiating. I'm saying, fix
Oh
this
yeah.
light switch. There's a tear in the screen, fix this. And they're going to say, no, I'm not going to fix this, but I'll fix this, this, and this. Um, so to your point about the big things, and this is, very important for as is right to void, and this is an education we give our clients through the process. I just mentioned some things. There's a tear in the screen. No one cares. It's unfortunate. You get a new screen, it's $22 at Home Depot. Like there's a wall plate missing over my light switch. That's $1.50. Like I will ask for that because I'm annoying that way and I work well for my clients. And I say, you're gonna pay for all this. And they're gonna say no because it's silly, but I'm gonna ask anyway. But
Hmm.
what we look for are the big things that are gonna be deal breakers, foundation issues, rampant mold, ceiling leaks, or just, a lot of daylight when you get up in the attic, seeing the
The
ceiling,
roof.
the
Right.
roof, system malfunction. If you get in there and you can't turn the AC on, that could be, anywhere from twelve to twenty
Ancient
thousand
HVAC.
dollars.
Any of those
Ancient
capital
HVAC, yeah.
expenditures,
Even
right? Big
radiators,
things.
like if
Yep.
you want to go in there and you see I had radiator heat in my last house and I loved it. But if you go in there and you're like, I don't want radiators, I want central AC, that could be a $20,000 job, and that's something you should know before the inspection. But if you're seeing a 25-year-old HVAC system, that's probably gonna, if it still works, you're lucky. You're probably gonna have to replace that in the next 2 to 5 years. So that's again a $15,000 consideration and something that might be a deal breaker. Like foundation, roof, major systems are the main things. Or mold, asbestos is everywhere, but like you just make sure it's remediated. Radon scares people, termites scare people. They're easily remediated. Like they might cost $1,000 each. So it's really just structure, foundation, water penetration. I mean that's a little bit separate from foundation issues, but if you just see moisture everywhere and like it's not graded right and stuff like that, that's a consideration, because those are significant improvements you have to do.
Yeah. Septic
Um,
and well, right?
septic
Like
and
if
well,
there's something with the septic that doesn't look great, that can be like you said, a $20,000 repair for the
yep,
septic system, right? So
yep,
if you see these houses that are priced lower, when if you get them under contract and you go do a home inspection, you find out they're getting rid of it because there's $100,000 of repair that they've been neglecting to do. So they're trying to sell it to offload that onto somebody else. That's what a home inspection is for. That's what we're here for, to make sure that you have the home inspection so you don't get stuck with that bill after closing, because that's just no, that happens. There's bad people out there,
it
right?
happens
So
for sure. And yeah, I mean, even the water main from the the street to the house. Like that can
Mm,
be a significant expense. And like that's honestly something that's not covered by a basic inspection. That's an additional inspection that our inspectors can provide. So that's another discussion. So we always think these are going to be
yeah.
short and they can go forever. But yeah, there's all kinds of different, there's radon, there's termite, there's mold, there's a list of probably 20 different inspections that our inspectors do. Septic and well is one, sewer scope, all these things. And in certain neighborhoods, we recommend some of those,
Yeah.
because we've seen problems. We've seen problems with the water main to the house, or we've seen radon is rampant. Radon is everywhere around here. Like it really is. I see radon in brand newly built houses. I see radon in old houses, and it really, there's no rhyme or reason. It's just in the soil, so you
Location.
really have
Yeah.
to, and it's an easy fix. It's about
Mm.
$1,200. You're cured of radon. It's a filtration system. It blows everything out of the basement. But these are things people don't know. Like before I was a
Right.
realtor, like you just don't know, So these are things that you really rely on us or whatever realtor you work with to do. And it's just a small piece of the negotiating and getting under contract in a tricky market. So it's one piece of the puzzle. So there's a lot to know, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
There is. Yeah. And I will add though, some of those extra tests like septic, radon, well, all that, those are additional tests that cost additional money
Cost money. Right.
on top of your home inspection. The home inspection is literally they're just going to go inspect the home, right? So
Correct.
if
Yep.
you want to get well and septic done, that's an additional add-on price, right? Kind of like just add those on to the on the list of things that need to get done, and
Old a
uh
la carte selections.
a la
Yeah.
carte. Yeah, there you go. Looking for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. I knew a la carte. I knew that's where you were going. Yeah. So I think what's the moral of the story, Brian? The moral of the story is you need a realtor that knows what they're doing in a competitive market, and whether or not you can full on waive an inspection, which is something I don't think I've done yet, and I don't intend to do. But that's a conversation we need to have with our clients, saying, listen, there are ways we can get around the inspection issue. Pre-inspection could be one of them. There's other little tricks of the trade that we have, just trying to make it as competitive as possible and still provide you with that comfort knowing that you're not moving into a broke down house. And it's tricky. I mean, there's no easy way around it. It's tricky.
It's tricky.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and it really varies week to week, but this is a conversation you need to have. And this is just inspection. We also have appraisal, we have financing, we have all kinds of other different exit ramps that we can provide our clients.
Yeah.
Do you think we should touch on them briefly now, or should we do whole separate
I
episodes?
say we do a whole separate episode on.
I think
We
so.
might be able to. We might be able to like combine appraisal and
Appraisal and financing.
financing into one.
They're kind
I
of
would.
tied together
They're
somewhat
very
anyway.
tight to get right. There's also the home. The HOA or condo one. That's
Yeah.
probably my favorite one,
Yeah.
because it's the most overlooked by selling agents, and
And we don't have to put it into our
a
contract. It's
free
already there by
ticket out.
law.
Yep, it's a free ticket out the door, right?
Yep.
You don't like, you don't even have, you can like it and still want out of the contract. We can just say you don't like it and we can get you out of the contract, right?
Yeah.
I would say the moral of the story is, like Tim was saying, he's never waived one. I think the home inspection is the one variable that we are unable to have, you know, have a high confidence that with waiving it, right? Like
Right.
we can look at your financing and talk to your lender and be like, listen, there's no way they're gonna, not be able to be financed for this house,
That's a
right?
good point. Yeah.
Here we can run comps and be like, listen, this is a good price. It's gonna appraise for this or more. So at the end of the day, we can waive those two, which is common in today's market.
Mhm.
It's the home inspection contingency that gets
It's
me.
the
I
big
just
one.
don't feel comfortable unless, again, all cash gonna rip it down or whatever, which I haven't had. Uh, I would just hate somebody buy a house and know nothing about it going into
Right.
it.
I mean, potentially if it's a newer build, in the last 5 years or so, and you have
And,
the
and a lot of
documentation
times
from the builder.
they'll actually provide an inspection report for
Correct.
those
Right.
types. It's the older houses, all the houses that people are buying, the vast majority. There's just too many variables that
Yeah.
you have to have a professional come in. They have like, those thermal guns. They're looking for
Yep.
moisture. It's really cool,
Stuff
actually.
you and I can't see, and
Right.
I've been
Yeah.
on hundreds of inspections and I still, I'm still like, oh, that's new. I mean, that's why these people are
Always something
licensed.
new.
That's their whole job. Yeah, so it is important, and it's just it's an ongoing conversation, and that's kind of the point of what we're doing here is to provide financial updates on what we're seeing on the market, also just educational pieces that people are like, oh, I didn't really know that's how inspection works. Now you know. And this is what we help you navigate when you're looking for a house. We're going to keep doing these and provide these little insights that hopefully provide some value. And I think next week, well, actually, next week we should probably get back to talking markets, since we now haven't updated people in 2 weeks. And hopefully by now they're not checking any other sources and just waiting for us to update them on the interest rates and
Better be.
competition in the market. I mean, that's what I'm hoping. So we'll leave you, let you off the hook by next week, tell you about that stuff, and then we'll come back with appraisal and financing maybe. Does that sound
I think that's a good
good?
idea.
All right, good. We really hope you enjoyed today's episode. I hope we didn't ramble too much. I hope you learned everything and more than you ever wanted to know about inspections, because it is a complicated process. It's something that is simple, but there's a lot of moving pieces, and this is just one little aspect of writing an offer on a house. I think one of our jobs here is to make buying and selling a house less scary. I think there's not enough free knowledge out there, and you kind of go in like with blinders on and just intuitively trust whoever you're working with. But it doesn't have to be scary. You're working with the right team. We can help you navigate it, and you don't have to know all this stuff. This is why you rely on professionals.
Exactly.
So inspections 101. There you go. In 2 weeks, we'll be back with financing and appraisal 101. Is that right?
101. Right.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody, to another episode of Stateside Market Report. Please press subscribe. I'm not going to say smash it. Share it with people.
Smash it.
Don't
Had to
do it.
I had to do it.
All right. Smash the subscribe. Let people know you like it, and we'll keep bringing you content. We are open to suggestions. If you have a suggestion, feel free to shoot Bryant or I an email. We'll put our contact info and some link somehow,
It's
and you can reach out to us that way. It's in there already. See, look, Bryant's on top of it. He's the tech guy. Until next week, we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys.